The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is... The number you have dialed...
My corporate job just fired me. I went in today all nicely dressed like I am. And, they sat me down and told me they were letting me go. After 6 years at this company, I am no longer there. And you know what? I'm not even upset. Is that bad? Is that bad not to feel upset about the situation? Like, I've been getting questions from family and they're like, how do you feel? And my response to them has literally been, I feel free. The reason, before y'all even get, to thinking that it was because of something that I posted on here, it was not. It was because of budget cuts. And not only was I let go, but others were too. So yeah, that was still surprising to me. I mean, I immediately asked in my, exit, just want to make sure that this is not about performance. And they clarified, this is not about your performance. This is solely based on, us not getting the grants and these things that we thought we were getting and us having to cut back. And so I had to write it all down as they were talking, because I had to make sure, like, what after 6 years? I know God has a plan for me. I've been blessed with almost 18,000 of you on this platform, and I am so thankful. I hope they never take this platform away, because I am so thankful for you all. And just know that it's about to come. Like, when y'all see me, just know. Just know. It's because, baby, that job let her go. I'm going to have more for y'all. I don't have much now. I'm still kind of in shock, but not upset. I feel like God puts you in certain positions in your life. He makes you do stuff that you wouldn't do. Like, I would have never put myself in this position to be even a little bit uncomfortable, but he did that for me. I just know there's something big coming. I know there's something big. So y'all gonna see a lot more of me. So get ready, and please share these videos with a friend. Please send the links to a friend. Tell them to come follow your girl, because we got so much coming. I'm gonna be sharing everything. I'm gonna be sharing corporate stuff. I'm gonna be sharing still show up for y'all as if nothing has changed. So don't get it twisted. We're still here, and we're about to grind this out.
I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know how it's gonna go. I don't know how it's gonna go. It could go either way. It could go either way.
My toxic job tried to fire me quietly. It's not a recent job. This is something that I had like in the beginning of my career. I worked for this company. I will never forget the way that they tried to push me out without actually saying it. Everything that I was doing at the time, I continued to get wrote up for it. It could be the smallest things. Me and someone else would do the same thing, and I still would get written up for the same thing. It was not until one day where I was presented with a write-up because a client was unhappy, and instead of my manager at the time kind of asking what happened and really looking at the situation and seeing that it was no one was at fault, what they did was call me into their office, presented me with the write-up. I then refused to sign the write-up, and they left the room very angry. Came back and said that the CEO said that I can go. I then went back to my desk, packed my bags, and left, and never saw that company again. It did not affect me until I tried to go to unemployment, and unemployment came back and said that I created a hostile work environment on the day that I left. It was stated that I was screaming in the office and going back and forth with my manager, which did not happen. Not only were they trying to push me out, which they end up successfully doing, they also tried to not pay me unemployment at the end. In the end, I ended up getting it approved because they saw that the company obviously wasn't telling the truth.
I just lost my job today. No warning, no nothing. They wouldn't even tell me why. I don't know. I didn't do anything wrong. I have no savings. I have nothing. I just don't. I got in the exit interview and they said, today's gonna be your last day. My manager, no, my director was on the call. And then they were like, the decision has already been made, so we really don't have anything to hear from you. You're gonna get paid for the one day you worked in August, and we'll give you your commission check, and that's the last of it. And end the call on me. I'm low. I'm low.
Oh, we're getting fired. We're getting fired. We are getting fired. Look how empty it is. They said, fuck it. We're already fired. Let's leave now. Only the black people that need their hours is still here. That's crazy. Oh, there's one white girl in the back. She needs her money. Let's see who else. Oh, Ghost Town. Oh, look, there's Color Girl. One more. And we're fucked.
We do ask that you sign. Do you have any questions for us now?
No, I don't.
Section of force.
Let us.
Thank you.
All right, Aiden. Well, okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Don't even cry. Everything always happens for a reason. Everything always happens for a reason. Everything literally always happens for a reason.
We really are not talking enough about the fact that 300,000 black women have lost their jobs in the last 90 days. 300,000. This is not a job market issue. This is not an economy issue. This is a systemic issue. Because when the first groups to get pushed out of the organization are black women, believe me when I say it's not just about a job market. This is literally disrupting people's futures, people's livelihoods, people's retirement plans, people's plans with sending their kids to college. And when you exit so many black women at once from the workforce, what you're essentially attempting to do is also erase our voices and all of the progress that we've been fighting for. Pay equity, better policies, inclusive leadership, just to name a few, all of that gets pushed back. And the hardest part about all of this is we are not new to this. We are true to this. We have been through this before. Black women have consistently been the first to be cut and the last to be invested in corporate America. This is not a coincidence. This is a pattern, and I'm calling BS on this pattern. And if you're a founder or leader who's building a company right now, you need to take note. Inclusion is not optional. Keeping black women employed is not optional. The same decisions you make about who gets hired, who gets promoted, and who gets protected has ripple effects well beyond your organization. This matters a lot, and it's not just a job market issue. Your bias is showing.
350,000 black women lost their job in the first 6 months of this year. But they talk about, oh, the unemployment rate ticked up a little, but it doubled, almost doubled for black people. What DEI was about black women who'd achieved a certain amount being taken from their jobs at one time. DEI has never done to America what GCI did. GCI is greedy, corrupt, incompetent white men. They talk about these things in an abstract concept, and if you look at the fact that black women are the most educated segment of our society, white men are the most uneducated. This was bound to happen. And the fact that there were a lot of black men and Latin men who helped this happen is something it's hard for me to reconcile.
You know what's really concerning to me is that you know, he didn't like the jobs report.
Right.
The one that he had touted before when it was in his
Right.
favor, right? Trump didn't like the jobs report. And so then he fired the head.
Happy Saturday from your girl who's been fired, laid off, canned from the federal government. Just coming here to give you guys an update. It's been a minute, like a week or so. I haven't gotten any yeses. I'm still applying. I'm still staying strong, even though, given this economy and the numbers and statistics that have come to light, I have learned that I am one of 300,000 black women that have been laid off in this economy. Can you believe it? I'm so threatening just by being beautiful and black that they had to take my job away from me. So now there's no jobs as it is to people that don't have jobs. So the economy is hitting a recession for sure. And I will say, I am glad that I am blessed to have severance pay, because everybody doesn't have that. So I have to start looking at the glass half full. I was doing that before, but I'm holding on to that. I'm also pivoting the way I'm looking at trying to find a job, because I do have options. I'm also pivoting my perspective on how God is holding me, because I've been in the workforce for a long time and I've had several jobs. So what I've learned is whatever job I've been given was by God, and it was by merit, and it was networking. So I'm pivoting. When I say I'm pivoting the way I look at the job market. I'm looking at it from a perspective is that I have to start networking outside of my workforce. And it's unfortunate my workforce is just the federal government. So I have to start networking and working with others outside of that workforce, which is going to be hard for me because I was in one place, one entity for like 22 years. And we really did my field, which is human resources and business partnering and HR. We really didn't get a chance to really go outside of the private sector. Go outside the public sector or the federal government. It was just more networking with other federal government employees. That's why when I used to go to SHRM, it wasn't geared towards federal government because it's more geared toward private sector. So that's where I'm at. I'm not trying to be defeated. I'm trying to still stay positive, trying to pivot my perspective and my mindset versus letting the evil people win, because they could care less about who I am and what I have to offer. But I know there's a higher power and he will create something for me. I just have to sit, be patient, and wait for that creative job, and I know I'm going to get it. Just gotta pivot my standpoint, pivot my perspective, pivot the way I'm handling it, and hopefully I miss working. So hopefully I'll be able to get a job and use my skill sets and my advantage and go back to the workforce. I'll keep you guys updated. Other than that, enjoy this beautiful weather. Bye.
Okay, but no, hold on. I'm so thankful that we are really on this topic of black women losing their jobs, because can we talk about how they fired us? Because God damn it, I worked a full day, logged out, got a phone call 4:00. You fired. Turn the equipment in immediately. Huh? If you don't turn the equipment in, you getting legal charges for theft. Huh? And I ain't even got paid. So what the fuck did we do to America? My other sisters, what did we do? Tried to get an explanation. They felt like they didn't owe me no explanation. Cool. Filled out the unemployment shit. They ain't even responded back to that. I'm like, what's up? All right.
I am one of the 300,000 black women who have lost their job in 2025, and I have some thoughts. It is no secret that being a black woman in America is ghetto, period, point blank. But being a black woman in the workforce, the masking that you have to do, the microaggressions that you have to fight, the code switching that goes on, all of the things, the hoops and the mental gymnastics that you have to go through in office, navigating social interactions with your coworkers is exhausting. If I was in office and had braids in my hair, my white male supervisor would loudly make a comment in front of anybody else who was in the office saying, "Oh, you switched up your hair. I almost didn't recognize you." Of course, this in turn makes people turn around, making you feel ostracized, making you feel put on the spot for literally the hair that grows out of your head and wanting to do a different style. Meanwhile, he's over there with 4 pieces of hair and a hairline that search and rescue is looking for, but I'm the one that's being put on display. Right. All of this to say, being part of the 300,000 Black women who have been let go from the workforce, I was a federal government contractor. I feel kind of lost in this moment. I've been applying. You all know how the job boards are looking these days, and I feel so liberated and so lost at the same time. Being in the workforce since 2015 when I graduated from college and working in mainly predominantly white spaces, the more I learn about the nervous system, the more I realize how wrecked mine has been and was, and all of which led up to that in my professional career. And if we even want to take it a step back, going to a PWI, and if we even want to take it a step back, it would be growing up as a suburban Black girl. That the 300,000 Black women in losing their jobs have been able to at least rest more than you have been before. I'm trying to find the balance between beating myself up and frantically looking for a job and actually letting my nervous system take a beat and realize what I had been going through and what I'm continuing to go through and what it was doing to me. And giving myself the gift of a calm nervous system is all I really want at this point, besides a paycheck. It's all I want for myself and for women who look like me. I'm doing my best not to tie my worth to the job that I had, the way I lost my job, and trying not to tie my worth into how quickly I can find a job. And these things happen now more than ever, and that there is a community of women out there that are going through the exact same thing I'm going through. Just trying to find the peace of mind that I need to operate in 2025 as a Black woman. So if you too are part of the 300,000 in the DMV area who have lost their jobs, I'm here too, and I see you because I am you.
The fiscally irresponsible policies from the White House, Republicans in Congress, are pushing people out of the workforce. Unemployment is on the rise, and Black women are bearing the brunt of the job losses. But what else is new? We bear the brunt of everything. Black workers are the last hired and the first fired. The alarming spike in Black women's unemployment is the canary in the coal mine, a devastating warning of where our economy is headed. That is exactly why I wrote a letter to Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell calling on the Fed to do its job and honor their statutory mandate to promote maximum employment and address this crisis for Black women. Diversity, equity, and inclusion matter. Diversity means all people, veterans, LGBTQ, women, rural communities, Black people. Equity means fair access to opportunities. And inclusion means having a real pathway to the American dream. No executive order from Donald Trump is going to change that, and certainly no legislation from my Republican colleagues will, but that does not stop them from trying. Republicans are proposing bills that would make it harder or even impossible for shareholders to increase transparency around diversity hiring and inclusive workplaces. Shareholders want this information because study after study has affirmed that diverse teams create more money for companies. They're more innovative and are better and faster at making decisions. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is good for business, and it is good for the economy.
All the MAGA folks that wanted to do away with DEI, it worked for you. 300,000 Black women lost their jobs, and unemployment for Black men increased from 3.4% to around 7%. But the kicker is, taking away DEI didn't help y'all. Like, the unemployment rate for white women and white men has stayed around 3.4 to 3.5% still. So it literally did nothing for y'all. But it really hurt everybody else, which is what y'all wanted to do from the jump. And this is further proof that a white supremacist will boo-boo on himself just so a black or brown person could smell boo-boo. Like, y'all will willingly hurt yourself and make yourselves uncomfortable in order to make the lives of my people and other minorities significantly worse. And y'all just don't care. And by doing this, y'all destroyed the country economically and honestly in any other way. Like, there's only been 79,000 jobs that were created in July, which is extremely low. And in a country where there are millions of adults that are looking for work, wanting to work and add to the economic value of the country. And they can't now. Because y'all voted with bigotry. Y'all voted with racism and misogyny and xenophobia. Y'all are some morons, bruh. I'm so tired of seeing people that voted for Trump saying that, oh my God, I didn't know he was going to do this. I'm so sorry for voting for him because it's actually affecting them and their families. And like, if you're coming out at this point, like, you might as well just be quiet. Like, I don't know why you're saying anything. Like, there's no reason for it other than you wanted to get some sort of interaction with people online. You know what I mean? Because it's like, we are so deep into his presidency, into his dictatorship, that there's no reason really to say anything if you voted for him.
300,000 black women have lost their jobs at corporate roles in the last 6 to 8 months. 300,000. I had to check the number myself. I'm not picking on this young lady. I wish her well. We're all involved in capitalism. If you're involved in a gig economy, you got a lot of flexibility with no benefits and spotty income. You have an hourly job, more predictability, but you don't have health benefits, 401k, and limited upside. You get a salary like this, they got the dress code, they've got code of conduct, but you're probably making high 5 figures, low 6 figures. And you're part of the system, all right? You're part of the next level up. You're a C-suite executive. You got benefits, you got bonuses, you have salary, you have maybe shares in the company. Okay, so and then somebody like me, who's one step above a small business owner, is an entrepreneur. Well, I'm taking total risk and get total opportunity, but I could lose everything. So stop complaining. You're part of capitalism, free enterprise. This is part of what you signed up for. Just do it right, do it excellent. What Dr. King say? You're gonna be a trash collector, be the best trash collector the world's ever seen. Show up and show out, not in late, long lunch, leave early. Bye. Go to Operation Hope, get your coaching and counseling, get your book, Financial Literacy for All, and sign up for my podcast, Money and Wealth. Every week is our free episodes. Love and light. I'm out. My boss just called me, my wife. Peace.
300,000 black women have been laid off in the last 90 days just in 2025. This conversation we're about to have is very urgent and it needs to be talked about. I read an article from WBcollective.org that stated that black women typically go into healthcare, government, and education, which have been considered very safe job sectors for us. Under the new administration and all these budget cuts, we have been absolutely affected the most. I don't think this is the time for us to be selling black women courses or telling them to go back to school, because a lot of them have families to take care of and they need support right now. So we need to be looking at ways that we can support all these women that have been laid off. If you are at a job and you're willing to refer a woman, please do so. If you are willing to help funding with them to get their business off of the ground, please do so. My name's Kina. I'm the co-founder of a tech organization. I have also been pushed out of corporate America at one point and decided to branch out on my own here in Chicago. So if you'd like to follow along for that journey, you can find me at NUCORD, and we create community for adults and students looking to break into tech. See you later.
Job hunting right now is absolutely a mess. It's been 7 months since I was laid off just because the company decided to reconstruct their business. My unemployment has ended, and I still haven't had any luck with securing a position with a salary that can take care of my family. Y'all, most recently I applied for a role and I went through 9 rounds of interviews. 9 rounds of talking to 9 different people. The hiring manager was a black woman, and I could honestly tell that she was trying to fight for me. However, I also noticed when I was in a space with different race, harsh comments were always being made about my education. Like, they really didn't care about my education and experience. Mind y'all, I just completed my MBA. So just say you just don't want to pay me, don't discredit me. This is just a short reminder to myself and every black woman trying to navigate this job market. Keep your head up. Keep fighting for what's yours. You don't have to beg or pressure anyone to see your worth. You are so worthy, and the right opportunity will come to you. Y'all, we have to work together to put each other in these rooms they're trying to keep us out of. So Black women, when you are in these rooms, let's fight for one another and let's change the narrative.
If you want to know the direction of the jobs market, pay attention to the Black unemployment numbers. That's not my guidance. That's the guidance from economists and experts who know much more about this than I. But let me explain. Right now, the U.S. unemployment rate is at 4.3%. We just learned that very few jobs were added in August, about 22,000. That's not good. If you were to describe this via text, you send a red alarm emoji. Now, for Black workers, the data is worse. For now, another month, the unemployment rate is going up. It's now 7.5%. That's the highest it's been since October of 2021. And it's a number we've been watching ever since it was 6.8% in June. It's 2 alarm emojis. You dig even deeper, and you'll find that Black women are disproportionately struggling right now. The jobless rate for Black women is at 6.7%. The last time it was that high, September of 2021, back during the pandemic. Add one more red alarm emoji. Why is this happening? Economists have told us that when we see the unemployment rate going up for Black people, it's a sign that it could soon go up for all people. And as our CNN business team explains, Black workers are disproportionately employed in frontline and lower wage industries as well as the government workforce. So what comes for Black people first often comes for everyone. And you know, those good government jobs have been a tool for Black people to build stable livelihoods, especially for Black women. But the federal workforce has been a target of this administration, along with immigrants and diversity initiatives. We have a lot to talk about. So joining me this morning, LaTosha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter Fund, Stephanie Donegan, a former Republican candidate for the Georgia Senate and founder of Your Rich Life Media and the Stillwell Society, and Dalila Paul is the national editor of the news site Capital B. Welcome to you all. Stephanie, let me start with you. 22,000 jobs in August. June revised down now, the first month of job losses in 5 years. The president promised the golden era for America. Where is it?
I mean, ultimately, we have to just be honest and say it doesn't look good, which I know people don't expect me to say, but the reality is right now, because of all the cutbacks in the federal government, it is going to hit Black women disproportionately right now because of how much we are employed.
The Black women have largely used the federal government as a Band-Aid, so to speak, or even a trampoline in order to try to get one up on the rest of society to say that they are the ones that are killing it and winning in society and absolutely destroying everything, when in reality, it was nothing more than a DEI crutch that prevented them from actually facing the reality of what the job market has always been. It's been merit-based. Now, I will also tell you that in corporate America and in private and the private sector, that there has been a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion in order to check boxes. And that is obviously shown even more in the fact that over 320,000 Black women have lost their jobs this year in general, right? And so when you take that into consideration,
Why aren't more people talking about how 300,000 Black women were laid off from their corporate jobs recently? I didn't even know this was a thing until I posted a video that I got laid off, and then a bunch of the comments were like, yeah, it's a war on Black women right now. There's so many getting laid off. And I still didn't believe it, so I checked, and there's literally a whole Forbes article on this. Like, this is so scary and concerning.
So I hear there's a war on Black women, and we are getting fired in mass numbers or laid off. And I'm just here to say that I also got laid off earlier this summer from a job that I was completely qualified to have, and the person whom I was probably more qualified than, he gets to still keep his job. And meanwhile, I'm here now forced to be a statistic collecting unemployment while I try to find another position that will provide me with a living wage. And I just want to clarify that I have put myself through college twice. I've also done 2 long-term unpaid internships, which means that I went into an office full-time and did not get paid. And I did that twice to advance myself in my career. I'm also a published best-selling author, and I've won awards in my field. And yet, here I am amongst the other Black, qualified, educated women, unemployed. So what's going on? What is going on? You know what? I was about to post this video and then I remembered I was laid off 2 years ago as well. I was teaching culinary arts. I am a award-winning chef, best-selling cookbook author. I've worked in some of the top kitchens with some of the top chefs across this country. I've traveled the world as a chef. I'm an exceptional educator. I've been working with kids for the last 15 years, actually all my life, because I started working as like a camp counselor when I was younger. And I experienced so much microaggressions, discrimination in this school. I struggled through it because I cared about the kids, because the kids all looked like me. And I knew that my presence there was very, very important. And then when it time for contracts to be renewed, I was informed that mine was not going to get renewed. And so I'm just now doubling down on the fact that there is actually a war on educated, successful Black women. And I'll be honest, some of our ops are white women. White women, white men. I don't know why you're all so threatened of us. I mean, I guess because we work so hard to stay educated, we've worked to get to where we are, and maybe you got a lot of privilege holding you up. I'm not really sure. I am pissed. I am pissed that I was making 6 figures and now I'm on unemployment. Actually, I'm like super pissed about it. It's not fair. It's not fair. But I have continued to keep working. I'm still hustling because that is what I do. I hustle and I make sure that I can take care of myself. But it's not fair.
I had a Black dude who was celebrating that those Black women lost their job. Talking about, oh, now all y'all 300,000. I said, okay. I said, do you understand the money that took out of Black neighborhoods? Do you know how many of them Black women probably head of their households? Or how many of them Black women who was married and 50% of their money paid for everything that was in that household? I said, so why are you celebrating? You better understand the way they're trying to purposely decimate us. This whole thing with Trump and a lot of them, it's about messing our Black money. I don't care how you want to play it. I said, when he got an NIL, that's what my homeboy called me. He said, you right. Because why you in NIL? Majority of athletes is getting paid what color?
Black.
There you go. So why you bothering with the NIL? The whole setup, you find all them government employees because that's the highest rate of government. Black people is employed by the government. You around here coming after all the DEIs. Now you got what the colleges saying they can't even recruit doggone and for DEI initiatives or certain HBCU colleges. The whole thing is to mess about money because, like he said, the Mexicans were taking Black people jobs, right? You think that was just something his slick self was saying? He trying to have us out here picking tomatoes and cotton. But I am my ancestors. I'll burn that whole farm down first.
Facts.
Black people are getting laid off and immigrants are getting deported. If that is not an indicator of what this economy is getting ready to look like, I don't know what to tell you. Y'all need to pay attention to your money. I'm going to tell you right now, your retirement needs to come first. What I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, your retirement needs to come first with this economy, because if they're laying off Black women as well as deporting immigrants, those positions that they usually hold is very hard to hire people at because they genuinely don't make that much. And so they're going to start having to import or figuring out another way to get these things done, which I feel like is going to increase how much we're paying for things. Inflation is already a thing. It's just going to keep going up. And so that is a strong indicator. So you can't be frivolous with your money. Focus on retirement. DM me, FIA, and I got you guys.
Karen and Tia getting fired from the Washington Post is a tale as old as time, right? We've seen this with Jemele Hill. We've seen this with Joy-Ann Reid, right? And not necessarily the same exact situations, but within the same realm and within the same world as to why that they no longer had a job. And as a Black woman journalist, it is very sobering and it is very spooky and terrifying to see Black women being dealt in such a way as being, for one, that she not only was a columnist during her time at the Washington Post, but also a global opinions editor Let me say that again. A global opinion editor, quite literally hired to express her opinion as a journalist. That's what they hired her for. And she tweeted a direct quote with no context, no form of opinion or bias of what Charlie Kirk had said about black women. Which, mind you, journalists do this all the time. They post quotes on Twitter, X, Blue Sky, whatever the case may be. That's just historically what we've done. When you cover an event, you pull a quote. And to see her be fired over that, it's just, what are we talking about? What are we talking about at this point? It's not making sense. Because it's not supposed to make sense. And mind you, she's dedicated a lot of her career at that place. I think in her Substack she said 11 years. A decorated, awarded journalist. 11 years at the Post. And they couldn't even give her a real conversation as to why that they fired her. Woo! If that shit don't wake you up, have you shaking in your boots, I don't know what the fuck does. It's scary out here, y'all. It's scary out here, y'all. And I just want to be very clear. It might start today with a black woman, but tomorrow it's everybody else. So wake up. Wake up.
Would I be wrong to say that this country is committed to doing everything in its power to prevent black women from generating wealth? In just 3 months, nearly 300,000 black women left the U.S. labor force, and more than 518,000 black women still haven't returned to the labor force since the pandemic began, leaving our real unemployment rate just above 10%. The article lists many causes, and I'm not going to go into details for all of them, but obviously the federal cuts. It also talks about the impact of the Big Beautiful Bill and student loans, and it talks about all of the DEI cuts. For decades, the public sector has served as a lifeline for black women shut out of opportunity elsewhere in the economy. Black women make up over 12% of the federal workforce, almost double our share of the labor force overall. The roles not only offer pensions and benefits, but more equitable pay compared to the private sector. DEI job postings dropped by 43% between August 2022 and July 2024, as well as companies scaling back their mentorship programs, their inclusive hiring, and deprioritizing equity benchmarks. I really want to emphasize the importance of retention, because we always focus on hiring, but oftentimes these companies hire black women and truly leave us for dead and do not give us the resources to be able to successfully navigate and successfully climb up the ladder within these companies. Even when black women are able to break into these spaces, to break into these companies, the pipeline to highly compensated executive roles sheds us at every single step. This is black women right here. Black women are among the most vulnerable to automation, with 21% working in jobs highly exposed to AI-driven distribution. Yet we hold just 3% of computing-related jobs. This is not just a mismatch. It's a structural exclusion from both the current economy and the next one. Black women tend to work in supportive roles, and you can see from this diagram that supportive roles have the highest risk of automation and also the lowest future job growth. And all of this is coming at a time where companies are eager to cut their workforces. There's a new mindset on how best to run a company. Companies are focusing on commanding millions of dollars in revenue with only a handful of employees. Many executives see large workforces as an impediment and not an asset. We're seeing this throughout industries. Companies are functioning with historically low number of employees. More than 51% of black households with children are led by breadwinner mothers, many of whom are the sole source of income in their homes. When these women are pushed out of the workforce, entire families lose their economic foothold, threatening housing stability, consumer spending, and educational outcomes for children. These are not isolated setbacks, they are systemic losses. And this is a compounding problem, okay? Without these public sector jobs that come with pensions, without these private sector jobs that allow you the opportunity to tax advantage retirement accounts, we're not going to have have people who are able to save for retirement. There already is a wealth gap within retirement itself. I made an entire video on it. And the people who have managed to save are having to reach into that savings in order to stay afloat. Last year, a record 4.8% of workers in 401k plans took a hardship distribution for financial emergencies, up from a pre-pandemic average of about 2%. Nearly 1/3 of people who leave jobs annually liquidate their 401ks, paying taxes and often penalties rather than keeping the money in retirement accounts. The article and the recent unemployment numbers are new, but this conversation is not new. We know that all of these things together impact and create the racial wealth gap. If you're interested, I have this linked on my page, The Economic Impact of Closing the Racial Wealth Gap, which is a 2019 study from McKinsey. The racial wealth gap is composed of so many systemic issues that there is not one solution or one answer to the problem. I always talk about how this has to be multifaceted because there are so many things that led to the creation of the racial wealth gap. If you're interested in more conversations like this, I have an entire playlist dedicated to the racial wealth gap, and I also have a link in my bio that has further readings and education. I love us for real. Thank y'all for tuning in. Okay, bye.
Over the course of the past 5 months, more than 300,000 Black women left the labor force, while the number of jobs for many other demographic groups have gone up. Experts and economists say that it is in part due to President Trump's efforts to shrink the federal government. I've been in touch with more than a dozen Black women who have been fired or dismissed or placed on administrative leave. They have described getting an email in their inbox telling them that they were involved in diversity and inclusion training, even when it had nothing to do with their jobs. They felt targeted for their race or their perceived political beliefs. Since President Trump took office, more than 80,000 federal government jobs have been cut. Black workers are disproportionately represented in the federal government, and particularly Black women. The federal government has long been a path to the middle class for Black Americans. After Jim Crow, it was one of the only places that Black people could get white-collar jobs. For Black women in particular, the federal government was a place where they face less discrimination than in the private sector. There are agencies where Black women make up almost a quarter of the workforce. Some of these agencies were seeing the government target for the biggest cuts. The White House has defended the cuts as an indiscriminate effort by President Trump to shrink the government and restore merit into the workforce. Recently, the Supreme Court ruled that he did, in fact, have the authority to continue to carry those out. Experts have warned that the federal workforce cuts are also rippling throughout the private sector. It is serving as a model for what kind of hiring practices are acceptable. President Trump has been very clear that he does want the workforce of the whole country to emulate what he's doing in the federal government.
Why is no one talking about how 300,000 Black women lost their jobs within 90 days? Bitch, what? I've seen a lot of videos of people online saying that they lost their job. And it's not just Black women, but I have seen an overwhelming amount of Black women talking about they lost their job.
I just lost my job today. Today I just got laid off from my job.
Now, we all know whose hands have been in the cookie jar. A couple articles like this one here by CNBC. And it basically said that this was no coincidence. The policy choices that were made by the federal government, including Donald Trump, to cut all of those jobs in the public sector affected Black women the most. That is where they have their strongest foothold in middle-class employment. This is despite data showing that Black women outrank and outperform any other group of women in their class, with even S&P Global, a leading economics and analysis firm, saying that if Black women had the positions that match their education and skill set, productivity boost would add an overall $507 billion to the world's largest economy, hence the United States. But I am curious to know, what do you think? So don't forget to like, comment, and share, and let me know your thoughts.
To the 300,000 Black women that just got laid off, hear me and hear me well. Adjust and pivot. Adjust and pivot. Adjust and pivot. Here is what I mean by that. Adjust. Adjust your expectations. adjust your lifestyle, adjust your budget, and get comfortable with confronting and accepting reality. Okay? Do not live in La La Land. Do not live in Delulu. Okay? Be okay with adjusting your lifestyle. You may not be able to go out with the girls. You may not be able to engage in all the beauty maintenance. I know as black women, we love to have our hair, nails, all the things done. We do not want to look like what we're going through. But be okay with having to adjust and look like what you're going through for a season, okay? Adjust those things. It's okay. It's okay. Pivot. When I say pivot, I mean in a couple ways. Number one, be okay with being an entrepreneur. I know Tabitha Brown said, get a job. I'm going to tell you the opposite. I'm going to tell you, find a way in this time as you are still applying for other roles to make use of your skills and your gifts. To me, this is the best time to be an entrepreneur because this is about to be an economy for entrepreneurs. If you don't have something to offer for money that people are willing to buy, it's going to be very tough for you out here because there's not enough jobs for all the people who are now unemployed, right? So be able to pivot into something else. Be able to pivot into a different industry. Be able to pivot. This one kind of goes back to adjusting your expectations and pivoting into a role that may be less qualified or may pay a little bit less than your last role because it's just for a time. It's just for a time. You're just adjusting for a time. I need you to do this because these are the things that I wish somebody would have told me when I got laid off. I am still struggling to this day to let go of the lifestyle inflation. I still think I'm entitled to have certain things, to go certain places, to do certain things, to work certain jobs. But sometimes there are just seasons where you have to humble yourself and do the things that you got to do until you can do what you want to do. This is one of those times. And I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. Okay? It's going to be rough out here, all right? So adjust and pivot. Adjust and pivot. And please do not care what other people think as you are adjusting and as you are pivoting, okay?
The Washington Post just fired its very last full-time Black opinion columnist, Karen Attiah. Why? Because she herself as a Black woman simply stated what Charlie Kirk himself said about Black women, highlighting his own legacy, the legacy he wanted to be left in his own words after his demise. She wrote on Blue Sky, quote, "Black women do not have the brain processing power to be taken seriously. You have to go steal a white person's slot." Direct words from Charlie Kirk himself. This post, coupled with her other posts, just merely speaking out, quite literally doing her job as an opinion columnist, and she was fired for it. She says, quote, "The Post accused my measured Blue Sky post of being unacceptable, gross misconduct, and of endangering the physical safety of colleagues. Charges without evidence, which I reject completely as false." And they fired her without even a conversation. And just as a reminder, Jeff Bezos purchased the Washington Post in 2013.
Over 350,000 Black women were laid off. People getting fired from LinkedIn. Microsoft is replacing people's jobs with AI. Yep, it's finna get. I'm about to say it's finna get serious. It's serious, and it's going to get worse. More Black women are going to get fired, and Black men. People don't know where their last meal, not that last meal, but next meal is going to come from. People don't know how they going to pay their bills. Dog, this economy is effed up. The job market is complete shit. People are suffering. And then I be coming across these videos where I understand people trying to motivate people by saying, man, this is the time to start a business. Motherfucker, if people don't have no money to support your business, why would you start a business? Because who's going to buy the shit? Some people don't want to start a business. They want to use their degree. Doctors were getting laid off. Nurses getting laid off. This stuff is affecting everybody, bro. Hey, man. If you don't believe in Jesus, you might want to start. You might want to throw up a prayer, because it's going to get worse. Listen, it's going to get worse. It is a darn shame that in today's times, you need at least 5 sources of income just to make ends meet, bro. I'll be praying for everybody. Keep your head up. But I'm just letting you know the truth. Shit ain't gonna never be the way it was. Sorry for cursing. Things ain't gonna never be the way it was, bro. There will be no course correction. There will be no course correction. I think the best thing people could do, bro, is try to save as much money they can and leave. That's my opinion. And also, just to throw this out there, bear with me. Since everything's so messed up anyway, why doesn't the collective group of Americans just sit down for a week? If 51% of the American population just decided that they wasn't going to go to work for a week, bro, I guarantee all the problems that you have will be fixed overnight. They'll figure it out. It's up to the American people to put the pressure on the government. It's up to the American people, bro. Might want to try something. If there was ever a time to be revolutionary, might want to start now.
And she gave no fucks. Not even one. And she lived happily.
I'm one of over 300,000 Black women who have been laid off or fired recently. Oddly enough, that statistic made me feel seen. Because job loss can feel like isolation, and I honestly have felt it all. I felt fear. I've been even in shock when the news was given to me. And I don't know, if I'm being honest, there was even a little bit of a feeling of relief. This isn't my first layoff. I was in tech. Or maybe I should say I used to be. But this time I am going to do things a little differently. I'm not spending my days refreshing job boards or waiting on emails that never come. Trust me, I have applied to about 100, probably over 100 roles over the last month or so. I've probably received about 50 rejections, and the other half has just simply not responded, to be honest. So I'm not chasing opportunities that were clearly not built with me in mind, right? Or not built with us in mind, because there is no reason with all that we bring to the table that over 300,000 of us should be unemployed. So it's clearly, it's just reiterating the things that we already know. But because I've been here before, I know how to build. So now I'm pivoting back into entrepreneurship. Yes, I said back. Maybe about, almost 10 years ago, I took a leap of faith as a single mom and opened up my own storefront. It didn't last super duper long because I was also gainfully employed full time with 2 small children. So it didn't really, I couldn't put into it what I wanted to get out of it. So it didn't stay around for that long, but I am getting back to creating something, that feels like mine. Not performative like corporate America always has felt to me. Not forced. Something that's just real. I've been cleaning my home, keeping my hands busy in my garden, as my grandma would say, because movement helps me think. Because healing doesn't have to necessarily look like hustle. And honestly, that's what it's normally looked like for me. When I'm out of a job, I'm hustling, looking for another job. But right now, I've decided to make this next phase look like clarity. And in this space, I started rebuilding intentionally. I've gave myself permission to relive some of my dreams. I'm building and, I would say more building from alignment, not necessarily urgency. If you are in the middle of your own reset, if you're grieving or even pivoting or just figuring out what's next, follow me. We don't have to have it all figured out. We just have to start. Just start somewhere. And I'm starting with my own business. Follow me. Let's do it together.
The number you have dialed has been changed.